And this morning we have Darren Farwell of the Farwell Group in his chair. Last week I loved Kevin's story, and week to week happy stories do really put the message home to me. I like the metaphors and learning that way. It takes investing out of intimidation, Darren. So do you have a happy story for us today?
Well, I do have a happy story, Marilyn. In fact, I have a happy story about that age-old principle you've heard about. Keep it simple. I'll leave out the last word. That KISS principle, keeping it simple. I mean, one of the most satisfying aspects of my work are really the connections I make, both the interesting and important stories that come from my valued clients, but as importantly, the new and interesting people that I'm introduced to by my clients and those who know what I do, and introduce people that I might be able to help them as well. So it's very satisfying. And I talked last week about actually meeting Kevin, and Kevin was introduced to me through a client of mine who was his golf partner. Well, this next story is about someone who I met really through the bank. Last week, as I said, I met Kevin through a golf partner. And today's story is a lot similar because it's about a man in his 60s who had gone into a Bank of Nova Scotia branch to talk to the manager about his father. The son, let's call him Giuseppe, was worried because his father had recently complained about not having any money, and his bank accounts were all of a sudden going down. Now, the thing was, Doug knows that his father has a lot of money. So what was going on? Doug's father, let's just call him Dad, is 83 years old. His wife died 4 years ago. Now, according to Doug, his father's overall well-being had slipped noticeably in the last 2 years, but recently had been more significant. Nonetheless, his dad lives in his own home and thus far doesn't have any home care. When the bank manager heard the story, he called me to meet with him because it was about Doug's father's income. What's Dad's story? Dad gets his Government of Germany pension. He gets his Canadian government benefits, Canada Pension Plan and Old Age Security. He gets his yearly RIF sent to him quarterly. As well, he was used to getting $4,000 per month income from his investments. These were all direct deposited to his Bank of Nova Scotia checking account, and that's where all the bills came from. They were auto-debited from that account. So it was working very well, all automatically, and didn't require really any attention. Well, what happened was, for some reason, the $4,000 per month stopped being sent. Furthermore, he stopped receiving the money from his German pension. So every month, his account was going down, and he didn't really notice. And sure enough, the bills started adding up. Now, in hindsight, it seems what happened is his dad was a little confused and kind of embarrassed to ask for help. And ultimately, the bank was called in because of a large overdraft in his account. Now, when we put all the pieces together, we did find out what happened. The account that was paying $4,000 per month had been moved from one advisor to another, and it was moved because the account was deemed too small. So the new people handling the account didn't contact him and didn't continue the $4,000 per month payment.
Oops.
Yeah, big oops. Now, remember I said Doug knew that his father had lots of savings. But what had happened is this big account with lots of savings, his father had lost track of it. And he couldn't find any statements.
Another oops.
Another oops. And when we actually looked for his statements, because his son came to the house and we were at the house and we were looking through his stuff, the most recent copy we found of that account was 2016.
Another oops. 3 oops in a row.
There's a lot. Excuse me. There's a lot more to come, Marilyn.
Oh my God! It sounds like a nightmare.
It was a bit of a dog's breakfast. The account where he was getting the Government of Germany pension had stopped sending the money because, in fact, the Government of Germany pension had stopped sending the money there. Of course, no one made him aware of that, and he didn't realize he was just not getting it anymore. So all of this added up to a big problem in terms of his paying his monthly bills because all the money that was supposed to be coming in wasn't there, and he forgot about the account. That was the large one where he had a substantial amount of savings. Remember the account that I said we looked in the files and we only saw records back to 2016. Mm-hmm. For some reason, not for some reason, it's happening pretty frequently these days, the account went paperless. So he was no longer getting a hard copy, didn't realize he was no longer getting a hard copy. So we went in with his son and really straightened things out. But in straightening things out, we saw a lot more, as you said, Marilyn, oops. There were 2 bank accounts at 2 different banks in his wife's name. She had passed away 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. These hadn't been cleaned up in the estate management process. As I said, there was this 6-digit investment account that his father had forgotten entirely about and had no copies or statements except for some very outdated ones. There was a tax-free savings account in his father's name. He had 2 tax-free savings accounts, one at the bank branch, so that was looked after. But he'd started another one back in 2009. It only went on until 2011. He'd forgotten about it. Again, no hard copy statements. There was a mutual fund that he'd held directly at a fund company in his ex-wife's name, not ex-wife, but who had passed on. They'd forgotten about that. There was an old insurance policy some 35 years ago. He was the beneficiary but had not received any of the proceeds from that insurance policy. On top of it all, there were 2 small investment accounts where he was not getting statements, investment accounts, little accounts at different branches, and 3 different individual GICs that he had no idea he had.
My goodness, did he have dementia?
He didn't have dementia, just wasn't on top of it, didn't care that much. He was getting by month after month. It's not like he needed anything. But of course, when the bill stopped getting paid, he did need something and realized something. He didn't even realize. The bank realized, and his son came in, and then we started getting things together.
So he sounds like he had lots of assets, and he didn't have to be bouncing checks. So what did you do?
Well, it's something that we're actually seeing more frequently. And it's really a matter of there was no central place to look to say, what do I have? There was no central record. We've got something called the Estate Asset Inventory Tracker. It's a booklet, and in this booklet, you simply record all of the things that you have. So all of your insurance policy, all of your bank accounts, all of your investment accounts, just everything that you have investment-wise, you can record in this investment tracker. Therefore, if something like this starts to happen, there's a resource that you can go to quickly and find out where things are. And the fact of the matter is, clearly his wife didn't have one of those either, so that when she passed on, he actually didn't know everywhere where she had savings. So what I say about this story is it's really important to keep it simple. At some point, it really becomes simplifying everything. So what we did was we consolidated. We found all of his bank accounts in different places and consolidated them in one bank and one bank branch. It was just around the corner. So he has easy access to them, and he knows the people in the branch. His dad's now getting hard copies of everything mailed to him. We gave him 3 phone numbers, including mine and the bank branch, and one of them is 24 hours access. So he has 3 phone numbers he still has a rotary phone, up by his rotary phone that he can call whenever he'd like to. He also has a cell phone, but he still has a rotary phone.
That's comical. I haven't seen a rotary phone since my childhood.
It was so I used it to call the office just because it was so much fun. We helped him find a lawyer to make his will, to bring his will up to date. He hadn't updated his will since his wife had passed on. And we also helped, the lawyer helped appoint his son as a full power of attorney. Critically, we helped him create his comprehensive estate and asset inventory record. So there's now one booklet that has a record of everything he has easy at hand. Now, we have a copy as his advisor because, of course, we did consolidate all of his investments into our team. The bank has a copy. Of course, he has a copy in his files, and his son has a copy. So there's a number of copies around, and if it comes down to it, we can go and easily access to find where things are. At some point, it becomes about keeping it simple. And we simplified things for him. It's also about having a trusted few people that can help guide you through times like that. So now he has us as his investment team and his banking team, his son and his lawyer, all working together to make sure that he'll be looked after. So there's 3 important points about this story. Number 1, at one point it really becomes primarily about keeping it simple. Number 2, find a trusted team to help you through and be your guide. And number 3, make a comprehensive estate and asset inventory that people know where it is and can access easily. And if anybody listening would like to get one of those booklets, they're free to call or email and we'll send one along.
So no cost for the estate asset inventory tracker.
No, and when I saw what happened here, I would just be happy for everybody to have one.
So simple phone call to you. Are you going to work today?
I am going to work for a couple of hours this morning.
So immediate gratification people, take down this number and dial it today. If not, then you have any time to call Darren and set up an appointment. He and the Farwell group can be your team. You can keep it simple, but you need to have a plan in place so that things have a slot to go to. And I guess this estate asset inventory tracker would be the way to start. So phone number, Darren?
416-863-7501.
It'll only cost you a bit of time, no money to get the estate asset inventory tracker, and you can get information that will protect your future and make things simple for yourself and your family. No need to be anxious about money when you can talk to experts who will lay it out for you at no charge, and then you know what to do and you can take the steps that you're comfortable with. The number, I think you should treasure it, 416-863-7501. I don't mean treasure it by put it away. I mean use it. Call Darren, the Farwell Group, 416-863-7501. So Giuseppe's story was very interesting, and I'm counting on you to top that next week, Darren.
I'll do my best, Marilyn.
Thank you. I also want to mention that the Farwell Group is on Facebook, as am I, under Marilyn Weston. So please log on and like our sites and follow the stories because they give you links to the show, another way to find us. And next, Dr. Betty Rosendahl of Thornhill Naturopathic Clinic is going to give us breathing tips. And then clinician Michelle Tamianko of the Full Mast Clinic is going to share a happy story and explain how one can deal with erectile dysfunction without pills or injections. And Edmund Ivazian has promised to call with a happy story as well. So stay right here and be empowered while you learn from a woman's perspective with me, Marilyn Weston, and my team right here on Zoomer Radio.